Welcome, beautiful leaders. So excited to have you back again. I wanted to play a game with you today. So let's play a game. The game is I'm going to put an image up in front of you, and I want you to tell me what color is it. So simple, easy peasy. Let's try it. Ready? Name the colors as they come up. All right, what color is this one? Say them out loud. Excellent. Easy, right? Now let's try it a little bit different. Same images. This time I want you to tell me, what shape do you see? Name the shape as it comes up. Ready? Go. Name the shape. Say it out loud. Perfect. Great. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to switch it up. We're going to sometimes do color, sometimes do shape. And I will say it right when we go. Ready? Color. Shape. Color. Shape. 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 Color. Shape. Awesome. Pause. How was that? Was it harder when you had to switch? What scientists and researchers find is that when you have to switch tasks, no matter how simple the task is, when it's a simple task, even if it's a simple task, it's going to take you longer, up to 2 times longer, to be able to generate the word. And you're going to make more errors. Most importantly, it's exhausting. It is way more taxing cognitively to have to switch tasks than it is if you stick with the same task and get it automatic and habitual and routine. In fact, when you switch tasks, there can be up to a 40% decrease in your productivity. It takes you longer and you're making more errors that you have to go back later to correct. That's the impact of task switching. We're going to play a slightly different game. This one might be a little bit harder. You ready to try? Okay, new game. I want you to read the word. Ready? Go. Name the word in your out loud voice. Excellent. Okay, pause. Now you probably guessed it. Name the color. Ready? Go. Name the color of each thing as it comes up. Perfect. All right, here's a hard one. Ready? We're going to switch it up. So, ready? Name the word. The word. The word. Color. Color. Word. 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 Color. 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 Word. 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 Color. Word. All right, pause there. How was that one? That's actually called the Stroop test, and it is way harder. Your brain has a preference. It's easier to read the word than it is to name the color. So when your brain is additionally taxed because it's a harder task, it has a harder time switching as well. So the harder the task, the harder it is to switch. So these are all here to show you and demonstrate for you that task switching has a cost. It's called the switching cost. And remember how we've been talking about managing your energy and not your time? When you switch tasks, it's a huge drain on your energy. A quick way to drain your battery is to switch tasks frequently. If you stick with one task, you drain your energy tank a lot more slowly. So, if you want to conserve your energy tank and make it last as long as possible, don't task switch. One of the things that is very, very common for leaders is what I call time confetti. It's this thing where your day gets broken up into tiny little itty bitty minuscule little chunks. You're switching tasks constantly. You sit down and you work at your desk, and suddenly you get interrupted by somebody who walks in. That person has a request, you take care of their request, you get back to your task. Suddenly your phone rings, you pick up your phone, you answer the phone call. That requires you to do a little bit of follow-up with an email, you send that out, then you sit back down to your task. And then suddenly you have another ping and another ding and another interruption, and your whole day gets broken up into little tiny, shredded tiny bits, which I call time confetti. And as we know, task switching has a huge switching cost. It reduces your ability to stay productive. It takes you longer. You make more errors. It's a really, really, really difficult way to work. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is how do you avoid time confetti? What can you do to make sure that your day doesn't get broken up into teeny tiny little chunks like that? So let's talk about another myth that's really important to bust. The myth of multitasking. Multitasking is this thing that we all do, thinking that, oh, I'm able to do multiple things at once. I'm able to make breakfast, get the kids ready for school, answer my messages, make sure that my own bags are packed. Like, you think, oh, I can do all of this at one time and hold it all in mind and get things done. Honestly, though, what you're doing is you're doing rapid task switching. You're rapidly switching from I'm going to be working on breakfast, and I'm going to take a pause there while the eggs are going. I'm going to go and check my messages. When I've checked my messages, I'm going to come back. You're not actually holding multiple things at once. That's why I typically burn the eggs often. What you're doing is you're just task switching. Your brain actually has certain networks, and those brain networks will only allow for one task to be the main primary focus, the main focus of working memory of your attention network. Those are the only things that you're really able to focus on at one time. So, repeat after me. My brain can only focus on one thing at a time. No more multitasking. What about walking and talking on your cell phone, or going for a run and listening to a podcast? What about doing a physical activity that feels really rote, very routine, very rehearsed, while you're also doing something that's a little bit cognitive? You're listening to something, you're listening to a book or a webinar or a podcast. You know, when you're doing that, there is some evidence that that is far more possible than doing two cognitive tasks at once. So yes, that is better, and it is definitely more possible. If your routine for loading your dishwasher becomes so automatic that you can also listen to an audiobook at the same time, go for it. But I do want to give you one additional caution. There is a lot of evidence that by doing that kind of multitasking, the physical activity plus the cognitive one, that your brain is so at capacity that it's very hard to attend to anything else that comes in. They did this beautiful study in Washington State where they had a bunch of people observing an open square where a lot of people were transiting through. Those people that were walking through while talking on their cell phones, they would go across the courtyard, and then a researcher would come up to them and say, hey, did you notice anything unusual as you were crossing the courtyard? And only 8% said that they saw something. Do you know what that something was? It was a clown in a purple and yellow suit with huge feet and a big red nose, unicycling. Nobody sees a unicycling clown. And yet, only 8% of the people that were crossing the courtyard saw anything unusual. When asked directly about, hey, did you see a unicycling clown? Only 25% of the people that were talking and walking could identify that. In contrast, over 50 to 75% of other people who were not trying to multitask were able to notice the unicycling clown. So just know that even though the walking and the listening may be what you're doing right now, and I encourage you to do it, it is one of those things where it's very easy to not be able to pay full attention. And that's why they have laws about talking on your phone while you're driving. Okay, So let's boil it down to the things and the tips for you for this week. First, no multitasking. Don't multitask. Instead, focus on one thing at a time. Nourish your brain in the ways that your brain is meant to work. Your brain is meant to focus on one thing at a time. Do that. The next one, what do you do about time confetti? What do you do about a day that gets broken up into so many tiny little chunks? Create yourself a focus block. A lot of people call this time blocking, that you take your calendar and you block time into different chunks designed for different functions. That's perfect. What I want to challenge you to do is to create a focus block, a block of time where you limit the number of interruptions, where you intentionally create a system and a space for you to be able to focus. Maybe that's only one day a week to start. Maybe that's one half day, 2 days a week. Maybe that's even just an hour of quiet focus time. Whatever it is that's going to work for you, try to see if you can create for yourself a focus block. I know several of my clients really love the early morning hours before the house wakes up as a really lovely focus block of maybe an hour where things are super quiet and you can get things done. Maybe in the office, the late afternoons are a time where it's awfully really quiet and there's not so many meetings. That would be a perfect time to carve yourself out a focus block. If you're a morning person and you really like to get started with your day, use that focus block in the morning and create it so that you can really dig into the tasks that are cognitively intensive, that are the ones where you really have to think and research and plan and hold multiple ideas in your head and put them together in creative ways. That's the time to use your focus block. When you have a focus block, you're going to have to create the systems and the environment in order for that focus block to exist. It's hard to create otherwise. You have to tell the people around you, hey, from 10 o'clock until noon, this is my focus block each day. Please only interrupt me if there's an emergency. I'm going to be putting my phone on silence. You're going to have to actually come and knock on my door if you want to come find me. That's one example. My kids have been trained that if mommy has the door closed, there's a little window on the door. They can wave at me, and if I go like this, that means that I'm in a focus block. It's not time to come in. Some people, I know my mother-in-law used to put on a pink flamingo hat. It looked like a giant pink flamingo on the top of her head, and that was an indication to everybody in the office that that was a focus time for her. She was using that time to really focus on something. Don't interrupt unless it was super, super important. You're going to have to work together with the other people around you to create that time and let other people know. Moreover, it's a way to get the entire office, your entire team on board. I know of one school, for instance, who has created a day where on Tuesdays and Thursdays, every morning, no meetings. It's a virtual school. They have meetings with their students, but on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, it's a focus block for the entire team. Nobody's allowed to make meetings with each other, and nobody's allowed to make meetings with their students. It's time for them to focus on lesson planning, on their administration, on organization, on all of those other things that require some focus time. So what would work for you? What kind of focus block is going to work for you? That is your challenge for the week, is to figure out a focus block and to make that in place. Here's a couple other tips around blocking and time blocking. One thing is bunching the little things. Often little things like emails, like paying bills, like opening mail, those are little things that are really easy to do as they come in. A new piece of email comes in, there's a little ping, you want to just check it and scan it to see if it's important. You want to feel like you're responding to people. Text messages are another one. You want to feel like you're responsive, that you're there to support. Absolutely, it's a totally natural feeling, but those little interruptions add up and create that sense of task switching and give you that switching cost. So instead, what I encourage you to do is bunch the little things. I create myself a communications block every day, and I try my best to only respond to people's requests for email, for text messages, for all of those other things during my workday. I try to do that during my communications block. I have an hour set aside where I just take care of letting people know, making my phone calls, taking care of emails, and I bunch all of those little things together. Another place where I bunch is on the weekends. I used to be one of those people that every day when I picked up the mail from the mailbox, I would open it, see what was inside, take care of a few things, and then pay the bill if it was a really easy one. That's what I used to do. But now what I do is I just let it stack up for the week, put it on the shelf, and then on Saturdays, I do the whole thing in one big go. It's less task switching. When I have my automatic bill pay open, it's way easier to get all of the bills done at once than having to open it, take care of one thing, open it, take care of one thing. Other people bunch errands. What is it that you could bunch? What are the little things that you could bunch together so that you can kind of create other bigger blocks of time for more focused tasks? A final thing. What about breaks? Are breaks counted as task switching? Because when you're taking a break, obviously you're switching from the task that you were working on, going to take a break, and then you're coming back. So what is a break? Well, a break is an opportunity to refill your energy tank, and breaks, the real good ones, are ones that are non-cognitive. They're ones that are not taxing your executive attention network, your working memory. Instead, it's focusing on where you are right now in your body. And those kinds of breaks, the brain breaks that I taught you or the brain breaks that other people have shared inside of the discussion chats, those breaks are ones which will refuel you because you're using different brain networks, and it's allowing yourself to refill that energy tank so that when you do come back, that you have more energy to apply to whatever comes next. What that means is avoid those zero gain breaks, the breaks in which you continue to do a cognitive task, where you pick up your phone and you check your messages, where you scroll through the news. All of those kinds of things keep your cognitive brain, your working memory, all of those systems active. And that is a form of task switching, because you're switching from one work-related task to a non-work related task, and yet it's still using the same brain systems. So when you go back, there's still that drain. It still takes longer. You still make more errors, and it's still more exhausting because you're draining your energy tank more quickly. So, if possible, use breaks that are non-cognitive and avoid those zero gain ones where you don't actually refill your tank afterwards. All right, a quick review. Discussion for this week. What little things could you bunch? Write that in the discussion forum. Would love to hear other people's ideas of what little things they like to bunch. Next thing, your experiment and challenge for the week is to time block, to find a focus block and create the systems around it that will support you in being able to have a focused time each day or each week so that you can really dig in to those heavy tasks that will allow you to focus on something without task switching. Finally, one other thing. This is Integration Week, or it's coming up. Integration Week is a week where I don't offer new content. Instead, I give you an opportunity for live practice and troubleshooting. We're having our integration session this Thursday, January 27th, at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. It will include some live practice. I'm going to give you 2 extended de-stressing brain breaks, and we will do them together. And I hope that they're going to be really fun and really nourishing. In addition, we're going to troubleshoot anything that anybody brings. So for instance, if you're having trouble finding a focus block, this is the time to come over and bring it, and we will discuss it as a group, and I will offer tips and strategies to help you do the things that you need. Similarly, if you tried to 5D your to-do list and you got stuck somewhere, bring that. This is the time for you to get the support you need on all of the things that we've done this month. It is also the place where if you have questions, that you can bring them as well. I'm happy to answer them, but hopefully we can use the collective wisdom in the room to troubleshoot and problem solve. If you can't attend, no worries. That's why there's an integration week, is that we do this meeting, this integration week meeting, and then I post it, and that's going to be your video for the week. It'll allow you to be able to practice on your own those extended de-stressing brain breaks that I'm going to offer, and it's also there for those people who weren't able to make it. And that is all for this week. Thank you so much, wonderful leaders. Have a great week.